Om. Namaste, everyone. In this lesson, we are aiming to understand the concepts and ideas of yoga therapy. What is yoga therapy itself? Yoga therapy can be understood as an adapted, modified, applied form of asana, kriya, pranayama, our yogic visualizations, relaxation techniques, and the life philosophy or the lifestyle changes that we need to make to prevent, to heal, or to rehabilitate either our own individual self as the yoga as a tool of self-care, or giving it out, sharing the tools and practices with your students, your friends, people who need them, to really have that positive impact on our health and well-being. And yoga has proved significantly well through so many research studies and so many work that has been done in association with the psychological studies and the medical studies, especially with the stress-related disorders, the stress-induced disorders known as the psychosomatics. So yoga can help us to improve our health and well-being at physical, mental, and emotional level. What we are really trying to do here to understand the yogic idea is to how to adapt, how to manipulate, or how to find the way around to teach these practices to people who need them most. Yoga therapy, Swami Ji, Dr. Gitananda Giri, for me, I see him as the founder of the scientific and more applied concepts of yoga therapy practices on a holistic level. And as we follow Gitananda tradition or the Gitananda practices. So Swamiji says that yoga Chikitsa is virtually can be seen as old as the yoga itself. Indeed, the return of the mind that feels separated from the universe in which it exists represents the first yoga therapy, yoga Chikitsa, could be termed man's first attempt at unitive understanding of mind, emotions, and our physical distress. And it's a holistic concept of therapy to attain that full or the holistic union of our body, mind, our emotions, and consciousness. As if you think of our chitvrittis or the disassociations, the ajnana, the ignorance that is causing all these problems, yoga gives us all the tools, all the applications to walk through that path, to attain stillness of our mind, and then the gradually union of our self with the higher or the divine, the cosmic self. And as we go through the Yoga Sutras, there is so many times Patanjali mentions the concept of Adi Vyadi, concept of obstacles, concept of our mental problems also disturbing our physiology, and how this approach of a yogic lifestyle, yogic living can help us to reestablish our individual self, our pure self, back into our own individual self. So understanding this idea of the holistic approach of yoga therapy, so we can look into the concept of disease. So the dis-ease, when we come to this uncomfortable or this disoriented, unaligned position of our body and our mind, or our pranic energies, subtle energies, as Patanjali and some other scriptures explain that all our diseases, this uncomfort, this discomfort, the problems in our life, they begin with our vasanas. So the vasanas are the desires, unhealthy desires that are driving us into get involved in things which are not healthy, which are not right, which are not good for us. Kama, this again another desire of excessive sensual pleasure where we don't have control on ourselves. It can be towards sex, it can be for food, it can be for drinks, it can be for drugs, it can be for smoke, it can be for also the clinging onto the material possessions. So this kama, this desire of self-fulfillment through the sensual, the material or mundane desires in where we lose control on our own self. Then we have a krodha, the anger, this anger that is really disturbing or destroying our equanimity, our nervous system, overacting of our sympathetic nervous system. So they gradually affects our heart, affects our digestive system, affects our pelvic health, also affect our way we think and way we process our experiences. Ahamkara, the ego that is driven into that I-ness, into me, into the selfness. Please do remember that ego is not always negative. So here the ahankara, we use it, that the selfish ahankara, that is all about me, where we get too much caught into our own benefit, that that leads us into guilt, into frustration, resentment, and also comes back to the anger, comes back to the karma, and it creates the ripple effect of the vasanas or the desires. And then we have the last one, asmita, that I-ness, that I, it's like sort of seeing things the way we want. It's all about me, it's all about I. Not being able to see the perspective of other people, or not being able to see that along with us there are other people also matter. Somebody else's view also matters. Somebody else's point of views, or what they're saying, what they're trying to put forward, also has the meaning. So this I-ness, these are the root cause of disturbance into our pranic, our mental and our physical body, causing various health problems. And obviously nowadays we can add one more compared to what Patanjali says. We can also add the abuse that we are causing to our body and our mind through our junk food, also our lifestyle, and also, to me, sometimes I wonder, like the religious belief systems are also can be seen as quite toxic, quite disturbing to our health and lifestyle. Not sleeping enough or not sleeping properly. And you can also add our modern social media, our news, and all this constantly sensory bombarding information that we go through. So the concept of swasthya, or the state of ease, swa astya, when the swa, the self, becomes well established in its own self, it's in its own individual. As Patanjali says, that self becomes one with the pure or the divine, the cosmic self, samadhi, the union. So the concept of swasthya is sort of concept of holistic health, where we're talking about our body, our mind, our consciousness, our feelings, our emotions, our spirit, when they all can come to their optimum performance, their optimum potential. So when we can achieve that optimum, where we become comfortable or at ease with ourselves. So sort of you can think of this concept of swasthya is not actually going outward to compete with other people, what everyone else is doing. It's actually being true to ourselves and then living our full optimum life. That is the concept of our swasthya or health in this concept. As as it's one of the teaching, it says that health problems or the illnesses may or may not be in your life. As many times we don't actually have the option to choose. But the suffering is always an option. So we can choose how do we want to deal with it. So this concept of swasthya is not just being free from the diseases, but it's actually also learning to manage our best and live our optimum life to the best we can. And as Hatha Yoga and the yoga philosophy, the Raj Yoga philosophy, gives us the tools of abhyasa, so that is your practice. So it's actually doing something about your life, doing something about your body, doing something about your mind to attain that optimum being. And then that follows vairagya. So the vairagya is the detachment or letting go or creating this disassociation with all the negative image, all the negative physical, mental or emotional conditioning that is being imposed or forced in us. And that leads us into this ease of ourself within our individual self, the swasthya. So our teacher, he will be with us, and really grateful for his guidance, Dr. Ananda Bal Yogi Bhavnani. He is some of the greatest of the pioneer or the leading sort of yoga therapy professionals out in the world for now. So he writes in his Yoga Chikitsa book that yoga as a mode of therapy, Yoga Chikitsa, has become extremely popular, and a great number of studies and systematic reviews offering us scientific evidence of its potential in treating a wide range of psychosomatic conditions. Now, yoga understands health and well-being as a dynamic continuum of human nature and not just a merely state to be reached. So something I really like from this definition here, that health, this dynamic living, this well-being is not something that we just need to achieve, but it's something we need to maintain. So the sukha sthanam, this sense of ease within ourselves, is not only just we have to attain, but we have to maintain it. So he defines that sukha sthanam, the state of ease within ourselves, is a dynamic sense of physical, mental, and our spiritual being. So really living our life to that dynamic balance or harmony between all different aspects of our living, our health and well-being. Now, as we are understanding the holistic idea, the holistic concept of yoga as a therapy or the yoga therapeutic practices. So in that fashion, yoga really giving us or providing us various paths or the sets of practices, the guidelines, the teachings, or even the lessons on actually obstacles, lessons on our mental states, understanding our chittavrittis, understanding our perception, our energetic sort of flows and their effect on our day-to-day well-being, our nostrils, our nadis, our chakras. So in a way, if you start to look at the holistic teachings of yoga, it is giving us the knowledge and idea of not just the spiritual awakening or the health and well-being, but also explaining us the concepts and ideas of diagnosis, and then how do we prevent them, how do we balance them, and how do we live our life at an optimum level. So each of these parts of yoga, like Raj Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, which we have discussed into our lesson 1 in this first module. So each one of them is actually providing us various tools on how to get rid of this duality or the two opposite conflicting forces of liking, disliking, pain, pleasure, happy, unhappy, want it, don't want it, do it, don't do it. So bringing that fine tuning, the fine balance, so we can gradually attain this oneness. Now the duality, these two opposite of the forces, remember, it's not just that we're talking about our mind field. The duality, the two opposites are also disturbing our equanimity or homeostasis. As you know, if we are constantly living in an overactive state of our mind, our thoughts, our body, we are dominated by our sympathetic nervous system. And when we are overly dominated, stress-induced or excitatory sort of induced of our nervous system, it is having a negative impact on your heart, your lungs, your digestive system, also your thinking, your perception, the way you process your emotions. In a healthy way, actually this fight and flight, your autonomic, your nervous system, it has an amazing role to play. But when we are out of the harmony, out of the balance, where we are constantly firing into the sympathetic nervous system, we start to struggle or suffer with a stress-induced or overactive sympathetic system, psychosomatic health issues. And that also have the reverse effect too, the somato-psychic, the mental problems taking place or arising from our physical body. This is quite fascinating, think that how many health problems actually affect our sleep, a good rest, or even the way we eat our food, the way we think, the way we have our perception or experiences. And the vice versa, there are so many problems actually have some sort of seed or root in our sleep, in our stress, in our equanimity or the balance, our attitude or perception. So through these various parts of yoga, we have many tools given to us to deal with our physical, mental, emotional, psychic, energetic and the spiritual health problems, leading us into this absolute bliss or the union, the oneness. The sort of thinking of the highest form or the highest sort of aim or the goal of yoga therapy can be seen as freeing ourselves from our physical, mental, karmic or samskaric or bautic and adi bautic sufferings, so we can have the access to our state of absolute bliss. When we think about our panch kosas or 5 pranic or the energy bodies, our Vijnanamaya kosa, the wisdom body, and our Anandamaya kosa, the bliss body, they are always in abundance, in harmony with the universe, with the cosmic energy, with the divine energy. And then our pranic energy and our mental, our pranamaya, our manomaya, the mind body, and our physical body are sort of disturbed or surrounded these layers of kleshas, layers of our negative thoughts, layers of our negative old memories, layers of our samskaras or the negative karmic influences or the physical injuries. All this is actually blocking us away from having the access to this absolute bliss of our Vijnanamaya kosa or the Anandamaya kosa. So in a true sense, you can see yoga as the path, the tool, the practices which can lead you to have the access to your true self, this absolute bliss. Ananda or Sat Chit Ananda, the highest, the unconditional love, the joy and the bliss. Now, as we going into understanding these concepts or ideas, so the principle of your yoga therapy, the key principle for me when I think about sort of understanding it, is the abhyasa and the vairagya. As yoga in its various forms provides us the tools, the kriyas, the prakriyas, the concepts, the practices, their applications, their adaptations, and you can adapt them to each and every individual's needs. Now Patanjali mentions in Yoga Sutras that to free ourselves from our mundane suffering. Now the mundane suffering can be your physical, it can be your mental, it can be your emotional, it can be your spiritual, due to various reasons, either the hereditary conditions or the conditions that we acquire from our environment, our lifestyle, our food, or lack of exercise, also many experiences that we go through. So he says, to free ourselves from these sufferings, abhyasa, doing the practice, choosing a path, doing something about it to heal, to bring that healing, to bring that ease, that sense of well-being again. And then once you practice it, the second part of it is vairagya, where you also letting it go. Many times we sit back and think, oh, I got this problem, and we go and see a counselor, or we talk to good friends or a teacher or people we really trust, and we leave them feeling so great, like, oh, it's okay, I have understood and I'll let it go. And then we come home and then back into the same thought process, back into the same sort of broken track again and again. So this vairagya, so the abhyasa is you trying to break that track, you trying to liberate yourself from it, and then the vairagya, once you bring it up, you let it go. So in a therapeutic sense, we think you are trying to clean your dishes. So the abhyasa is you got your dish, you got the sponge, you got the soap, and you're rubbing it around to really give it a good clean. And then the vairagya, letting go, you just put it under the rinsing, the free-flowing clean water, the warm water, so it just rinses out, you have a clean plate. You don't just dry it up after giving it a rub. So that is the concept of abhyasa and vairagya as the concept of yoga therapy. I guess yoga therapy for us as a teacher, really sort of think of it as a skillful teaching for helping people, giving people the tools to live their optimum life. So the skill is you sort of thinking, okay, I'm thinking what I can do to help people to improve their mobility. Someone might be on a wheelchair or someone might be in a bed. So instead of thinking, oh, they can't do anything to walk around or doing the standing yoga, or I can't teach them Surya Namaskar, I can't teach them the warrior variations, which are really amazingly empowering. You start to think, what can I do? And that is the skill. Skill is what can I do? How can I adapt the practices to the level of what somebody can do? So it's a skillful teaching to help people or help yourself to bring that optimum living, that quality of life. So yoga therapy is the skill in the teaching, adapting and modifying practices so that they become accessible and achievable for the sadhakas or the client or your student, whichever term we're going to use here, to actually regain some sort of optimal physical, mental, emotional and spiritual sense of well-being. And this is something, you know, when you're sitting back and thinking, how can I make someone feel optimum by just doing something really simple, maybe doing some arm movements, breathing in, raising your arms up, breathing out, taking them down, or just sort of like wiggling the fingers or shaking the hands, doing the jatis, or maybe doing some kriyas, some movements of our neck. But actually, for people who are limited in their motor or the mobility movements, for them even a little movement of turning the head right to left can be so much more empowering. Because they are limited and they're not really doing much of the physical movements for various reasons. So when you start to take them through some of these simple, these subtle movements of breathing in and taking your arm up if you can. If you can't do it this way, you say, okay, take it up to the front and do it this way. Or if you can't do it that way, maybe you take somebody's hand in your hand and just help them to breathe in and lift it up and breathe out, take it down. So what do you do when you start to act in this way, apply the practices? You are actually firing the nerves from your brain to create that series of the movements, but you're also firing the stimulus or the stimuli back from the cells, your tissues, your muscles, that is sending the message back into your brain that my hand is being lifted up. So in a applied concept of your yoga therapy for people with the limited health, limited mobility or various issues, you are actually going to empower them in a two-way process. So the empowering the muscles to gain some life, some prana, some movement, but also empowering your brain, the nervous system, to regain that connection, regain that stimulus, regain the activation of our nerves. And then we have the sadhaka regains that optimum sort of physical, mental and emotional well-being. One may be seen, yoga can be seen as a preventive tool or for the cure or for rehabilitation. But in many ways, you know, for just to keeping ourselves safe and really being sort of in a right mindset, if we use yoga as an aid or a tool to support the optimum health and well-being, or helping people how they can manage better. Someone got blood pressure, then you might just give them, okay, well, I would like you to practice Sukha Purvak Pranayama and a long deep relaxation 2 or 3 times a day, or maybe giving them a couple of simple kriyas or the vinyasa, a couple of simple movements to stretch and to relax the body, do some stimulating of the cardiovascular muscles, improving the breathing and improving or enhancing our relaxation response. So that will gradually help the person to feel comfortable, to have some control or some management of better management, to live their life to the optimum of their own health and well-being. So seeing yoga as I guess preventive, the curative, and in a rehabilitation, also how to manage better with the health situations we are going through. So the yoga paths and the practices are diverse. Each individual can choose which one is most suitable. That's another really amazing thing with the yoga actually. There are tools, there are practices for each and every person. So we can choose what they need. There will be some young people coming to you sort of about the mental or emotional health issues, and they are physically very fit, very strong, and to really empower the solar plexus, empower the mind, you might sort of come up with more dynamic practices. As like we have the series 1 and series 2, or in our tradition we have the Veerbhadrasana series, we have Kshatriya Kriyas. So they can really empower people who are struggling with the mental or emotional health problems, which are also affecting our physical well-being. But physically we are strong or capable. So sort of really seeing that there are the yoga practices for each and every individual. For other people, it might be just simply following a deep relaxation, or some pranayama practices, some lifestyle changes, some food, or the dietary applications. So all these different tools actually can be seen that each and every individual can get something out of your yoga practice. If nothing else, you can just teach someone just to breathe in and out while you're lying straight and go up and down through your body, and between 10-15 minutes hopefully they will fall asleep. So at least people can have a good decent sleep, so improving the sleep. So moving a little bit more into these concepts, these principles of yoga therapy. So some of us might think that yoga therapy is quite new and we starting something completely new in last sort of 20-30 years. As Swamiji, Gitananda Giri says that the yoga therapy actually comes or begins at the same time when the yoga comes to existence itself. Now, when we look at some of the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita is a pure scientifically organized counseling where the Arjuna, who was suffering with the mental delusion, all the mental problems and confusion, unable to make decisions, he was suffering with the anxiety, suffering with the fear, depression, his body was trembling, and in that time Krishna takes him or guides him through the spiritual counseling, all these various parts of yoga on how to deal and how to overcome all those obstacles he was going through. So it is a very well organized spiritual text, which is a spiritual guidance for dealing with your mental, emotional, spiritual problems which gradually manifest into our physical body. Same is the Yoga Vasishtha, sort of really you can think of, as Dr. Nanda mentions, that Yoga Vasishtha can be seen as the first recorded scripture or a text or a book on counseling, guiding people. So this is obviously a spiritual counseling. There are lots of spiritual stories to counseling Lord Rama by his guru, the Vasishtha, on how to again overcome his own depression or the delusion, all these mental sort of afflictions he was suffering with. Then if you look at the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Geren Samhita, the two of the scriptures on our Hatha Yoga practices, in both of them we go through so many extended cleansing practices, asana and mudra, and each one of them, as the masters taking us through, they are mentioning so many physical therapeutic benefits of them. Like the Ardha Matsyendrasana says, it can cure or it can help us to manage better of madhume, which is the diabetes, the sugar problems. All the cleansing practices like the Kunjar Kriya says it can help you get rid of all your stomach, your acidity and ulcer problems. The Sangha Prakshalana can help you to cure the digestive system. It can also help to cure you, your mental, your emotional and all the energy health problems. The bandhas are really amazing, sort of described as the practice that can cure any of the physical, mental, psychic, spiritual and the energy or the karmic sort of health issues. So this really gives a little bit more idea that how the yoga therapy or the therapeutic approach of understanding either the philosophy for our mind or consciousness, the Hatha Yoga practices for our body, our organic systems, then our pranayama for our energy and mind, our bhajan singing, chanting again for our mind, our karmas. So each of these paths, these practices are actually there, and then this idea of yoga therapy or the therapeutic tool, the therapeutic approach of yoga has been a Sanatan concept that has been existed since the yoga has come to existence. Now, as we are understanding this concept, this idea of yoga therapy, I guess without touching a little bit on Adi Vyadi concept, psychosomatic, which, when we do come to this concept, we will have a complete lesson on this idea, this concept. And as we will go along, even these little introduction I'm doing on different subjects or different aspects, we will quite a few of them, we will go into a bit more extended detail as we go deeper and deeper into understanding these ideas of yoga therapy. So again, the one of the idea that's in Sankhya, in Ayurveda, and in Yoga Vasishtha is mentioned the concept of Adis, Vyadis. So the problems take their root, their seed in our mind, and then they affect or they disturb our polarity, our energetic flow into our pranic body, our nadis, our chakras, and then it results or it manifests in our physical body. Now this psychosomatic idea has been very well known, especially in our last sort of 10-15 years. Now we can see that almost every health problem has some root either in the cause or flaring it up in form of some stress or some of the mental sort of health problems or the issues. They both are quite connected. So this thousands of years ago, the yoga mentioned this concept of Adivyadi or the psychosomatic that offers us a tool to actually understand the problem, and then what it really says, to get rid or to alleviate yourself out of them, to really live or bring that health and well-being, work on your health from the root level. So we need to work on the psycho and then somatic and psycho. So if you think of the Raj Yoga, our meditation, the singing, the mantra, the chanting, these are actually you working from your adis, your psychic concept, you're working from your mind body, and that brings the result into your physical body. Then we have the concept of somatic, so you're using the Hatha Yoga practices, the asana, the kriya, the pranayama, the mudras, to actually using your body as a tool. So you're working on your physical body to enhance your mind body, enhance your pranic body. Then we have the pranayama practices, the relaxation techniques, yoga nidra, jnana yoga practices to enhance or to get rid of all the blockages or the disturbances into our pranamaya kosa, the misalignment of it, to bring it back into its absolute harmony, the optimum sort of polarity, and then well-being. So the yoga is not only just giving us the tool of Adivyadi or understanding, but it also actually gives us the tools to deal with our psychic and our somatic. And it says that if you can change your mind, your body will change. Vice versa, if you can change your body, your mind will change. And this is where the holistic idea that each of these practices can empower between each other. So some of the Hatha Yoga practice empowers your mind practices. Some of the mind practices will empower your Hatha Yoga practices. And then on with all that, also the importance of your food and your lifestyle. Here, as we're talking about the concept of Adi Vyadi, so the psychosomatic, really if you think of the Hatha Yoga, our yogic relaxations, even the pranayama, jnana yoga techniques are really to activate or to improve our relaxation response. So in our modern time, we all are living our life in overactive sympathetic nervous system. So through the Hatha Yoga, with the concept of spanda and nispanda, you are stretching, you are twisting, you are moving dynamically. So you are really activating the nerves, the impulses, the awareness of your body. And then at the end, you go into nispanda, the total relaxation. So you're not only activating the nerves, your muscles, your body, your organs, but you also enhancing the ability to retrain or to reawaken this ability of homeostasis, that your body go back into that deep relaxation. And we do have this relaxation response, the reflex action, as we have the balance of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. But because of the chronic stress or the life issues, we gradually forget about relaxation. We forget about this balance or the harmony. So this yogic practices of hatha yoga, relaxation and yoga nidras, the pranayamas, help us to enhance this ability of our body to relax, to rejuvenate and heal. Our relaxation techniques like Jnana Yoga Kiryas, Yoga Nidra, they can help us, our mental and emotional, to release our mental and emotional distress, that bringing our senses back into equanimity. Our meditation, Jnana Yoga practices can also help us to release our old traumas, the memories and samskaras that are disturbing our equanimity, the peace or the balance of our mind. And then the last and the most important part, just to remember that yoga, these practices, as long as we understand how do we apply them, how do we make them accessible to various levels of your students, your sadhakas or followers, it's safe and it is accessible. And it is also most cost-effective way we can take it forward to people. So you might just introduce or initiate people into some subtle jatis or some sukshma vyayamas, subtle exercises, or maybe just a deep guided relaxation, or some simple pranayama practices like sukha pranayama, or giving some positive affirmations to enhance our attitude. Sometimes you might just advise someone to make a little change in their lifestyle. I get sometimes people talk to me about, oh, I find it really hard to sleep. You might just tell them simply, oh, stop drinking coffee in the afternoon or in the evening. Go to bed in appropriate time. Or maybe do a little bit of exercise. Or take a nice herbal tea that helps you to induce the sleep a little bit better. So even a little bit of change or adaptation to lifestyle can make a huge change, a significant change, a blessing in somebody's life to feel better, to feel optimum or to feel good about themselves. As you know, one of the really amazing thing Dr. Nada mentions, sometimes even if you can help somebody to bring some mobility so they can do what they really like to do, maybe their prayer, maybe sit for a couple of minutes, or maybe go for a little walk, or so even if you can help someone to have the little bit of that connection to be with themselves and to perform or to even be involved in what they like to be. So it is safe, it is accessible, and it is for all. To me, yoga is for each and every individual, and more people struggle with the mobility or the flexibility or the movement more than needed. Om Shanti.